So the building block for forms are really rooms and keys. And so you need to have at least looked at session 6, where we talk about rooms and keys. And just to give you a quick overview of what they are used for. So rooms and keys are used to separate groups of templates. All right, so you pick up, let's say you've got a bunch of templates, and you can separate them by the name of the room. And you can have rooms within rooms. In other words, to access the room within the room, you need keys for the outer room and for the inner room as well. Okay. Usually, you don't want to have too much a nesting of the rooms. Usually, it's about 2 levels or 3 levels at most. So the function of the rooms is to prevent templates from interfering with each other. For example, let's say I've got one template, a queue, which matches, let's say, explore, okay? But explore in the context of exploring the chatbot and other stuff, okay? Or maybe I have a chatbot to do tourism, and I've got, let's say, an explore for Namibia, an explore as a country as a whole, maybe exploring certain parks in Namibia, or perhaps exploring certain activities like night activities and so on, right? So the word explore can have different meanings depending on the context in which it's used. So one way to separate out the different rules is to different usages of the word explore, because these words would have different cues, different templates attached to them, is to use a room. Okay, one room for each. Maybe explore Namibia for one, and one for parks and so on, right? So the usage of the rooms and keys in this case is to prevent templates from interfering with each other. Now, rooms and keys can also be used to impose something called sequential flow in a conversation. That means right now the chatbots are not sequential flows. They use something called declarative programming. So if you've done any kind of programming, you'd know that most programming languages are very much sequential. They do A, B, C, D, E, F, from start to finish. Okay, but the chatbots are not like that. They are done using a template matching, and so template matching is inherently non-sequential. Instead, template matching, the model for programming, it's something called a state machine. So you go from one state to another state, right? And the state transitions are managed through the templates. Okay, so imposing this kind of sequential flow in the chatbot itself is tricky, but it can be done with rooms and keys. And this is really what oftentimes people use them for. Okay, one misconception is that if you have these separate rooms and so on, then everything gets separated. No, the answer is no. Not everything gets separated. Okay, only the templates, that means the Qs and the As and so on, are separated according to the rooms. But the types and things are always shared. Types, things, functions, and so on are all shared. And this makes sense because you don't want to have separate types and things for different rooms. Okay. All right. So let me just make this might seem a little abstract. So I'd like us to just focus on a simple application, and this is data collection. So let's say we're having a form which collects a person's, let's say the name, could be the email address, right? And maybe the age. So name, email address, age, 3 things you're going to collect. Okay. And so you want to go from one to the other, to the other, to the other. And if any part has got a mistake, you want to repeat that part until the data is correctly collected. Okay. So you start off by analyzing the kinds of templates that you want to use. So maybe the first template might say, say hello and so on, how are you? And then ask for the name immediately, right? So you ask for the name, and then the next template would get the name, it would match for a name, and then it will also ask the next question, which is the email. Okay, so let's say it's name followed by email, right? And then after that, you get the name and you ask for the age. And finally, once you get the age, you have an exit system where the guy can click they can click a next button and so on to actually go on to the next next room or next template. Okay, it means you're exiting the form to go somewhere else in your chatbot. Okay, so this is the general sequential flow that you are trying to impose with your chatbot, and each of these boxes represents a single template. So there are 4 templates, at least 4 templates that we're going to use out here. more templates will be introduced for error correction, as we'll see later on. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, sequential flow. Now, in the second template, in the first template, we don't collect anything. We just ask for the name. Okay. The second template is where we collect the name. The third template, we have the name already. We collect additionally the email. And in the last template, we'll collect also additionally the age. So by the last template, we have 3 items, or theoretically have 3 items: the name, the age, name, email, and age, right? And of course, it goes without saying, because these are things that you want to remember, it needs to go into a mem. Okay, so these are all 3 mems that we need. So we know that we need at least 3 mems: name, age, and email. And we're going to use them in our chatbot with at least 4 templates. Okay. Now, we want to really enclose these 4 or more templates in a room. Okay, and we call the room form. And again, what this does is that it only separates out these templates from the rest of the chatbot. It doesn't separate the mem, name, age, and email from the rest of the chatbot. Okay. And further, we want to partition this room form into 3 other sub rooms. Okay. The first sub room is the room name. Okay, and we want to go around and around that room until the name is collected, and then it will exit that room to go to the next one, which is the email room. And finally, you want to go to the age room, and once you have done with the age room, it's collected, you can then exit completely out of all of these rooms, including the form room as well. Okay, so I hope the objective and the method we are going to do this is, well, fairly straightforward and fairly clear. So there are no files here in this account. Let me just first download the CU101. Okay. And close this up. Close this up. Okay. So the first thing we do is open up the main. And we just want to just publish this bot. Okay, so it's going to be called, the username is Joshua, I think, and it's called bot. Okay, so let's try this. So this is a simple hello, how are you, mindless bot, right? Okay, you'll see I don't understand and stuff like that. Okay, so good. So what we want to do now is first to have one page where the user can choose whether they want to go to the form collection area and perhaps a quiz collection area. And so what I want to do is I want to create a new thing called, let's say in the topics, called the menu. Right, so I'm going to call it menu.m, where the user can select where they want to go. So let's save this. And let's use this menu m. And what I'll also do is I'll also delete the stuff that I don't need. I don't need animals. The first menu, right? You want to display the welcome message, and the welcome message should simply say, select the form or do the quiz, right? So we'll call it welcome, right? And it's simply a Mojo word, right? You can either do this, you can do it this way, or you can do it. So I'm going to use it. I'm going to do it this way because it's easier to edit. But you can also do it in your init as well. That's also fine. Okay. So you can do this something like, hello, right? Select. Right. Something like maybe data collection. Or Chris. Okay. So we can do that. Let me just comment out this menu for the time being. Let me publish it again. We go back. So you can see two buttons here, direct collection or quiz. If I click on any one of them, you'll probably see I don't understand the question. Okay. And so our goal today is to fill in these two buttons and to make it easy for you and how you can do it, right? Okay, so you can do it this way. We can leave it like this, or you can take this and put it into a menu. So doing it in line like this, welcome, is easy. I mean, if it's short, it's easy to do it in line, but usually you want to have a longer welcome message, right? So you have to use a quote here, right? This is in session 7, right? And hello, let's put it in bold. Right, and then I've got this stuff here, which I can't do this anymore. I will say this is my data collection button. So we'll call it button 1. Right, and I'll map that into contacts. And I have also a button 2 for quiz. Okay. Okay. So the advantage of doing it this way is that gives you a longer preamble on the first starting page, right? So let's test this out first. That should be welcome. Use it in a smart context. We'll publish this. Okay, it says error in your smart context, no such word welcome. So that means this word here isn't being defined, but we did actually define it here. Welcome here. So the trouble is that I didn't include it. All right, so let me include it now and publish it. Ta-da! Okay, so we got this, and it would say, I don't understand, and some other stuff. Okay, so far so good. So now what we're going to do is we want to be able to respond to these button presses for data collection and for quiz. And so we want to then create some types, Q. We'll call it type, what is it called? We'll call it a form and quiz, right? And the form is data collection, data underscore collection, all right? Or we can call it just data as a synonym, and quiz, just quiz. Right? And so we want to have one rule. So this is where we write the templates. So I typically like to write, draw a line here to separate out the code from templates. All right, so you got your typing the things, and since we're only doing the form now, we want to then start to display the form, right? And so the first part of the form, we'll start here first, and later on we'll move it out to a different file. Okay. So remember what I said. The A here would say, "Hi, I don't know what's your chatbot name, right? So this is bot name. What's your name? Okay. And here is where we want to switch with a K. So the K is where we give the bot a key, and the key is called form. Okay. So far, so good. So we want then to create a new thing called the data collection form, right? Data. Okay. And we can actually move this. We don't have to put this here. We can move this up into here. Right. And then we want to include this in here after the menu. So this is data. Right. Okay, so we've got the menu, and the menu defines these types and so on. And we go right into the data collection here. Now, previously in the slides that I showed you, I had this template inside of a form. That's possible too. So inside of a form room, that's possible. Or you can do it this way, where, sorry, instead of putting form, it should be called name, sorry. Right, form name, maybe call it form name, okay. And the idea is that I'm going to give this two keys, the form key and the name key, right? And I'm going to define a room form. This is my master room, so to speak, right? And the first item I want to collect is the room key. Sorry, the room call name, room name. So I'm going to collect the name here, right? Okay, and then later on, I'm going to have a room, what is it called? Email and room, and then lastly, room, what is it called? Age. I collect the age and room, right? So these are the three different things I need to collect. So I come out here into the form. Once it's matched on the menu, I just say, hi, I'm this thing, what's your name? And then I give it two keys instantly, the form key and the name key, okay? You don't have, the form thing is not necessary. I'm just doing it for neatness. You can actually do this without this, probably clearer as well. Maybe I do it without this, okay? So we'll just jump from room to room here. Okay, I don't need the form one anymore. So I just call it the name room. Because names can be a free form, you can just say, I want to just collect whatever he says as his name. Right, so there can be two forms of this. You could say, I am like Jack, for example, right? So that X could be the name. And then it's a hi, Jack, what is your email address? Okay. Or he could just say something like, just his name like that. And then you could say, hi, but you can't be too sure of his name, right? What is hi? Right, just an X here like that. What is your email address? Okay. And we need two mems here to store the data. One mem, sorry, three mems, the name, the email, and the age, right? And so here, we want to say, okay, look, once we got the X here, right, we want to just store it into the name. So it's X name like that. And we do the same for this. Okay. But also we want to get rid of the name key and we want to add in the email key, which is next. Okay. The same for this. All right. So the difference between this template and this template is that you're more certain about what he's saying his name is. And you can add in here other things. For example, my name is X. That will also match. And we get the X, and you can shove it into his name there. Okay. Some names are more complicated, and that needs a different kind of form handling for that, right? If you say his name has got two parts, like Arnold Dore, for example, or Christian Jonathan. That's a two-part name. It depends. Then you need a little more sophistication in your name collection, and you need to verify also that the name is the correct name. I won't do that here. I'll just show you how to collect these simple names. Okay. All right. So now at this stage, if it hits this or this, it's going to just say, yes, this is your name, and so on. And then it will go on to the next room. If you want something that's more sophisticated, you can track this part where you're more certain of his name. And then if you're not too sure, instead of saying this is his name and saving it on line 28, you could confirm, say, is your name really this? Right? So you can have another room, for example, to confirm the name. And then before you go on to the next room, which is the email room. So the key here, a minus name simply means I'm removing the name key and I'm adding the email key. I'm removing the name key and adding the email key. Okay, so at this stage here, as he leaves this, he will leave this room, and he has then the key for email only. Okay, so we always test a bit, code a bit, test a bit. Don't code too much and test, test a bit, code a bit, test a bit. Let's try and publish this first. Okay, so we don't have a bot name here, so we want to define that somewhere. So let's put in the menu for want of a better place to put it in. So let's say Chatty is my bot name. Okay, let's try publishing it again. Okay, so you should go, and here we collect the collection. I'm Chatty. What's your name? I don't know. Right. Then it goes on to the next room. Right. If I click anything here, it says I don't understand the question, because he doesn't. There's no other thing that matches. No other rule that matches. Right. If you notice, I mean, if I type this in at this stage, he would assume that the Chatty would assume that my name is this rubbish here. Okay. But after I leave the name room, those templates no longer match, and so this part doesn't. After I leave the name room, these templates don't match anymore. They no longer participate in the matching process. Okay, so that's what I meant when I said that the rooms separate out the template groups. So in this case, I've got a group of 2 templates, and they are separated out using the name. Okay, now I want to collect the email address, and this time I have a pattern that I can use from my email topic. There's an email topic here which allows you to collect names, emails, and I can just copy that and put it here. So I'm assured then at this stage that this will match a valid email address. Okay, it says, okay, great. What is your age? Remember? Great. And I can just call the name here, right? Like Arnold, for example. What is your age, right? And if I want to be fancy, okay. So the next thing I need to do is to store the email address. So X into email. And I want to exit this email room and go into the age room, right? Now, what if the email address is incorrect? In other words, it's not an email address, it's something else that you typed in. So for anything else, I want to say, oops. Please try again, right? Now, in normal programming languages, you would have to explicitly loop this again and again and again. But fortunately, with this system, because it's declarative, you don't have to do that. So declarative programming, you don't have to do that. You just define what you want, and the rules will activate accordingly. You don't have to loop it, right? The looping is implicit, right? So here, that's all you do. And you don't exit, in this case, the email room. So now I'm writing this code. Let me try it one more time. Let's close this up. Data collection. Arnold. Okay, let's say I type on publishing. Okay. You see? So it checks that it's not an email address and says try again. So I'll say arnold@gmail.com. Okay, and it says, oh, it's not an email address. Please try again. Is there a bug in the system? Did I do something wrong? Oh yeah, because this email thing is not defined yet, because I didn't include it as a topic. right? I need to include this email.m, right? Let's publish it again. Okay, let's try it again. Data collection. Now, this kind of programming can get old really fast because I need to type and type and type and type and type. And I'm quite a lazy person, so I don't like to do that. So what I want to do is I want to automate the testing so to make it a lot easier, right? And I don't like writing this kind of rubbish. It's too long. So I'm going to use our test system. It's not documented yet because it's just new. So it's Terra Chat test. And I'm going to say, okay, look, here, I'm going to say data, right? I'm going to run a test here. Okay, so data, it immediately goes to what's your name. So for the question data, it goes to what's your name. And then I'll say Arnold. And then I will say, let's say something else. Let's try a bad email first. Bad email. And then I'll try the good.com. Right, so let's test this out again. Save and test. Okay, so it goes in here and then it says great Arnold, but it's capitalized here like that. And that's a bit, a bit weird. So what I want to do is I want to lowercase this and capitalize. Okay, let's try that again. So we don't have to retype a lot of the stuff. It just automates it for us. Okay, great Arnold, what is your age? Okay, that's nice. All right. So let's say I am 45. I publish, test it again. And then it goes to, I don't understand the question because we haven't really checked or done the age part yet. All right. So I hope you can see that this kind of test jig, just by calling Terra/test, chat test with stuff like this is actually pretty useful. And you can just save your tests as something called unit testing in separate files. Then you can test your chatbots automatically. Okay, so we want to go back to the last room, which is the age room. Okay, and for the age room, similarly, we've got also, we're going to check for an integer. So any integer that it checks, x dot, we want to say, okay, right, okay. And then I have all your info. Then you can maybe want to display the info. All right, so we say display info. All right, and then here we want to exit. So in other words, we want to have a K that says I'm going to minus age. Okay, and basically we exit, and we want to have a button here also. Maybe I display these two buttons, the buttons that we had before in the menu, which is these two buttons here, right? Okay, so I can say it's the quiz button. So let's say try our quiz. Try the quiz. Okay, so here I just minus the age room, so it no longer matches for the age anymore. Now I've got none of these room. I've got no keys for these rooms. I don't have email or name or age, and so it goes back into the system where I can only match the other rooms. Okay, so now this int comes in from the numbers topic, which you probably have seen before. It's here, numbers. For numbers, you can do quite a few things. You can check for reals, integers, or just any old number. It means reals or integers. And it does conversions for you as well for reals, integers too. So let's just include this topic right at the top. So numbers, Okay, and that should be it. So let's test this out again. Okay, so here's an error. Never ignore your errors. So it says no such word display info, and of course there's the display info I didn't do. So we go back to data collection and we need to write a function called display info. All right, and I'll just separate out the templates from everyone else. Now, because the display info needs the mems, I need to put them first. Okay, and I'll assume that you can read the mems above. So you can say something like name, email, age, name, email, age. Okay, we have a queue here. And let's put it in a nice bullet form to say your detail. Okay, and we'll make this into a P. And so I'm just using standard HTML here. Okay, so I'm just using an unordered list. Again, this is just standard HTML. You can go to W3 Schools to learn a little bit about this. Name, and make it in bold as well. Meanwhile, if any of you have questions that you'd like me to answer, now is a good time to ask. Okay. Email. Oh, and H. Okay. All right, so let's test this out again. Go back to this and test it. Okay, so then I've got this spurious dot out here. I don't like that. So let me just remove the dot, the period. Okay, now I can publish and roll it on a test. Data collection. Arnold, whoops. And let's say it's 45. And you've got the details there. Oh, but look at this, age 1. Why is that? Why is my age 1? So going back to the data collection, right? If you do a test here, right? Remember we had age 1, not 1 years old, right? And the reason is because that this is the last time data is collected, and I'm displaying the answer immediately at this stage. So here it's matched, here it's displayed, right? And the C's are always run after the template is processed. In other words, after this A has been displayed. So instead of a C, what I need to do is I need to move it into a B. B means before, right? It acts very much like a C. It's just that it's a B. Means before this A is activated, you want to run these Bs, right? And if I click on the test now, it should be fine, right? So it's age 45. Okay, so it's because of a logical error. So here you can use a C because you're going to the next room, the next room, the next room, next room, next room. On the last room, you're not going to a next room yet, and you're displaying this stuff right here. So you need to use a B, not a C. Okay, so I hope that explains it.